Welcome back. This is Robin Minds. Before we went on the break, we were talking about Nigeria's victory in the just concluded Africa Cup of Nations, Women's Africa Cup of Nations. And of course, one more time, go Super Falcons. And that sort of reminded us how united we are as Nigerians. Even though in recent times we've been seeing a lot of statements from our political figures that seems like it's not exactly in line with national unity. For example, in recent times, we've heard Kwakwanso and Edo State Governor Monday Okpebholo, they have made headlines for comments that many say strike at the heart of national unity. Kwakwanso accused President Tinubu of prioritizing development in the south while leaving the north behind, describing roads in the north as, in quotes, hell, compared to what he called the transformation happening in the south. Meanwhile, in Edo State, Governor Okpebholo warned that the Labour Party's Peter Obi must seek clearance before visiting the state, sparking outrage over what many view as a breach of constitutional rights. These comments have reignited questions about free movement, free speech, national development, and whether our leaders are building bridges or burning them. On this segment, we're going to be asking, why do our leaders still speak in ways that divide? And what is the real cost of this kind of rhetoric on the idea of one Nigeria? And that leads me to the topic, which is discussing national cohesion and diversity. With me in the studio is a social commentator, Awabiaka Ahmed. Welcome back to Robin Minds.
Thank you so much.
It's been a minute.
Yes.
Okay, so let's just dive straight into it. What does it mean for the nation when a sitting governor says that an ex-presidential candidate must seek clearance before coming into his state?
Well, you see, first of all, congratulations to Nigeria for the victory of the Super Falcons, and that is a practical way of announcing our cohesion, of announcing the unity that should exist amongst us. The ladies called, sorry for diverting over there.
No, it's fine.
So overjoyed, were so joyous about the victory. The goals that were scored, nobody said it was an Igbo goal or Rashida goal or anything. Everybody celebrated and we're all good for it. So it is quite unfortunate that while the young people are on the field everywhere carrying the flag of this country in their effort to unite this country, some leaders are doing the direct opposite. And these are leaders that we should be learning from. People tend to take politics way beyond the way it should, or the way we should play it. So I feel that is what is causing the whole of this. We could sense there were excuses given here and there. You know, the Edo State governor said the governor came and for security clearance, and when he came, last time he came, he donated some money, and that money led to some friction and people died and all that. But that is not a way of going about it. From an executive governor of a state, the chief security officer of a state. It is not supposed to be a public announcement. It's supposed to be something that should be dealt with holistically in a proper manner. And the former governor Rabiu Kwakwanso is quite unfortunate because a lot of politicking is going on. But unfortunately, 2027 is still far away. It is not a crime. It is not inherently objectionable for a leader or for politicians to play politics or to criticize government. But we have to do it within the confines of the law and in a manner that it does not cost us the peace of this country. What he's saying is capable of igniting unrest in some places, you know, for people to feel like, okay, well, development is happening in the south, in the north is not. But all this still boils down to the fact that some things played out recently, the unfortunate passing of former President Muhammadu Buhari, and that phenomenon about the 12 million Buhari northern votes and who is going to inherit what or not. So it's possibly one of the reasons why the former governor, the NNPP chieftain, Rabiu Kwakwanso, is making this kind of statement just to garner the northern followership. That is one. Secondly, you know, opposition, the attempt by, or the effort of a ruling party or of government to sustain power or to retain power, to prevent opposition from taking power, and also the effort of the opposition to want to displace a sitting government should not cost us the peace of this country. Recently, the president did a lot. You know, after the passing of Buhari, he gained some northern sympathy as a result of the kind of last respect he gave to his predecessor,
Yeah.
and there were some important, what's it called, appointments that were given to Northerners.
Yeah.
So these are good points for a politician, for a sitting government.
Okay.
But the attempt by someone in the opposition in the north to want to, counter that might lead to statement like this, which is
Just
quite
hold on to
unfortunate.
that
Yes.
thought. I know you have quite a lot to say. We also want to sample another opinion. Joining us from our Abuja studio is a political analyst, Zaria Yusuf. Welcome to the program.
Well, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you for joining us. I'm quite sure that you're well briefed with the conversation going on. We're talking about, divisive statements by political heavyweights like Governor Bebelo of Edo State and, of course, former Governor Kwakwanso. A lot of these divisive statements can be attributed to politicking, and we saw a rise in politicking in terms of ethnic division or statements like this from the last election. Moving into 2027, how did we get here? Why does it seem like the polity is heating up even way before the elections?
Well, we got here, we were set on this particular path from 2011. From 2011, especially what happened after late Buhari lost to Goodluck Jonathan. You would remember that there were lots of killings, and those killings ended up not even going in the political line, but in the religious line, ethno-religious killings. We lost quite a number of core members and people who were innocent and all of that. And you will also remember when a certain key statement came from him, the late former president, saying Muslims vote the Muslim, Christians vote the Christians, and all of that. Now, we can't exactly say there was never anything such as ethno-religious, biases in our politics. But at a time when any politician would have become emboldened to come out and publicly pursue that path as a path to whipping up sympathy of voters and all of that, it started then. Now, after getting into office for the whole of those 8 years, nepotism basically was redefined. It was almost a case of, boss, we have too many people from this part of the country. And okay, get me a list of people from my village and let's replace all of them. So that went on and on and on. There were only a few politicians from the northern part of the country that had a problem with that. I need you to understand that. So it went on that way. And then, just before the 2023 election, the story of it became almost an institutionalized issue to use ethnicity and religion to pursue votes. And that came up from the former governor of Kaduna State, who basically started off by referring to a candidate as an ethnic bigot, as a religious bigot. And then you will look at that scenario and ask yourself, in a country that has already been deeply divided along the line of religion, along the line of ethnicity, would you not want to create a scenario where you will douse whatever tensions or mistrust there has been, or distrust that has been entrenched between, different parts of the country? But they went ahead and brought about the notion of the Muslim ticket. And then the whole idea of it was, let us replicate what this governor did in Kaduna State. Of course, we are not discussing that. We could go a whole lot into that details. But definitely it left a deeply divided state, wounded people, and all kinds of criminalities that are yet to be accounted for, which I hope in the course of time, people will pay for it. So having done that, basically what you have, the regime that emerged from that election in 2023 was such that a certain group will feel entitled to the fact that we played it in the line of religion, we played it in the line of ethnicity, and we have proven that we are in the bigger number and all of that. Unfortunately, you would realize that while this is not totally new, when you come to the northern part of the country, basically the use of ethnicity and religion to score political points, it has unfortunately moved down to the south. Okay? Such that we would have a politician like please pardon me, I would stick to the first name Monday because Tegolo keeps coming to my mind each time I struggle to pronounce the second one. Where did you get are you the president of a country? Who exactly are you to dictate to any particular citizen to seek a certain kind of permission before coming? On what grounds are you basically pronouncing a citizen as how do you call it, as a persona non grata or whatsoever in your state? So these are things that should not have been. Basically, in a country that was working, the impetus to say that wouldn't even come up. And that's why I align with Barrister Kenneth Okonkwo, who said the ease with which he was able to make that utterance came from the singular fact that he despises the ethnicity from which that particular candidate came from. He wouldn't have done that basically if Kwankwaso was going there. He wouldn't have done that if Atiku was going there. He wouldn't dare do that if any of the governors or politicians from the Southwest was doing that. But he found it easy to do it. So that's quite unfortunate.
Yeah. Speaking about Governor Kwankwaso, because you just mentioned his name, genuinely, can you try to objectively dissect his statements? Do you think he had a valid point, or was this just a very ethnic statement to make? When he said that development is more on the south than the north from this present government.
What he is doing, he is basically sowing the same seed that Nasir El-Rufai sowed in 2022 by first of all defining a particular candidate as a religious bigot. But this time around, because the sitting government is a government that basically a serious part of the North basically wanted this, not necessarily because there was anything to offer, but simply because it did look as if it was a certain kind of victory for Islam. Let's just be honest about it. So there were people that celebrated it. Oh, the Muslim. It shows where. I mean, when you follow utterances of clerics, you would see these things. But along the line, something seems to have fallen apart. The fanatics that supported the emergence of this regime, the politicians that either openly or secretly worked for the regime, are basically pulling back and are beginning to attack the regime. So when you come out and make a statement that the president is focusing development, whether roads, projects, or whatsoever in the southern part of the country and not the north, it is not true. He is only sowing a certain seed that is supposed to germinate, mature, and create the same old division. Basically, we are being dragged back to somewhere around 2011 or 2015, where the politics as at that time was not between what was new and was coming and what was old. It was between a northerner and a southerner. It was between a Muslim and a Christian. That was unfortunate. What played out in 2015 was strictly ethnicity and religion.
All right.
And thank God the sitting president was willing to risk his own political ambition and save the country of what I would have described a very bloody civil war. And I think it's unfortunate that this is basically the same seed that this man is trying to sow. But I hope that he fails woefully.
All right, so Ahmed, let's weigh in your thoughts. What do you think is really the bone of contention? Some would argue that it's because of the recent road infrastructure that is going to run from Lagos all the way to Calabar. Some others would say that, there's a lot of projects going on in the north as well. It's just that, people don't make so much noise about it. Some would also argue that as far back as President Goodluck's tenure, that there were so many infrastructural projects he did for the north, and it was almost as if that didn't matter when it came to the votes. Eventually, when late President Muhammadu Buhari took over. Let's really be objective about this. Do you genuinely think that more development is coming to the south in this particular regime?
Well, without holding a brief for the government, I think I've seen the statement of former Governor Kwakwanso and the reply from the government. And a whole lot of projects, road projects especially, almost 50 of them, major road projects. Badagry, Sokoto, Super Highway, there's the Kaduna, Abuja, Kano highway, over 340 kilometers, and a whole lot. Now, if you put them side by side, the roads, I took my time to put side by side the projects that are going on, including in agriculture, the health sector, and all that. There is no truth. Just like he has mentioned, there's no truth in the statement of Mr. Rabiu Kwankwaso, Alhaji Rabiu Kwankwaso. But that is just secondary. in this issue, in this whole issue. Now, there is a thin line, and we tend to confuse these things together, between weaponizing religion and ethnicity. The two issues that happened, in fact, going back to 2015, like he mentioned, and the statement by Okpebholo, the governor of His Excellency, the governor of Edo State, and His Excellency, former governor Rabiu Kwankwaso, are not in any way related to religion. We should not, this is a dangerous attempt to want to intertwine the two together. There are two separate things. Okpebholo is a Christian. Mr. Peter Obi is a Christian. Rabiu Kwankwaso is mentioning what he's mentioning, and we have a Muslim president and a Muslim vice president. So these are two different things entirely. And Rabiu Kwankwaso didn't mention it because it is he's not doing things on the Muslim side or something. He simply mentioned it not. These are two different things entirely. So I think we need to be very objective in separating these two things, and that does not in any way emanate or span or stem from the issue of Muslim tickets. There are two different conversations entirely. So I think we should not confuse them together and separate them, and with that we'll be able to have a clear vision. So now it is very, very important for us not to attempt, for political leaders to stop attempting to weaponize ethnicity, in scoring cheap political points. So I think that is just the major point in this whole issue. And I want to draw our attention back to the fact that people or politicians are selfish, and they will do anything to want to gain attention or to want to gain the followership of the people. So there were times when the immediate past president Buhari was there. They say he took a whole lot of appointments to the north, but he was doing projects in the south. Now, the president is there, so it is allowed. The current president is there. They said he's carrying so much appointments to the north or to the south, and is not taking projects to the north. So I think we need to balance these things up and see from what politicians are saying and be very careful in absorbing them.
All right, so we're going to do a bit of statistics later on in terms of listing certain facts and figures, but please just hold on to your thoughts now. I'd like to ask Yusuf, candidly, how would you rate this government on a scale of 1 to 10, if you're to be honest, in terms of performance?
Well, first of all, first of all, I'd want to say to my friend, unless we want to be politically correct, but there are certain politicians, when they speak to you about the North, whatever their notion of the North is, cannot be divorced from religion. I just need to put it out there for you to, get that. We don't have to agree on it anyway. But in all fairness, on a scale of 1 to 10, if I were to rate this government, frankly, I would put it at maybe 2.5. That basically, and I'm saying that in all fairness, because
2.5 is a failure. Are you saying this government, this current government, has failed?
Yes, it has. My friend, people who earn, even somebody earning 500,000 naira in Nigeria today is a poor man. I mean, you look at a country where there are deliberate policies by a government that make it extremely difficult for people to eat, extremely difficult for small-scale businesses to thrive, extremely difficult for farmers to do what they want to do, extremely difficult for people to just survive. And yet we keep talking about achieving. The whole thought was that a government had the primary responsibility of making life better for its citizens. And I don't know of how many policies in this government has actually elevated the pathetic and subhuman, condition that most of Nigerians are living in. It's quite unfortunate. So yes, it has failed woefully.
The government would always say that the reason why we are where we are now is as a result of the fuel subsidy removal, and it's going to take some time before things adjust. Now, do you think that the funds being recovered from the subsidy is being put into proper use, and how has that really trickled down to the common man? Because they would argue that if not that the fuel subsidy was removed, then Nigeria would have gotten way worse than it already is.
That is a lie. And then to directly answer you, it will never trickle down to the masses. Whatever it is that is being recovered from the subsidy that has been removed basically serves the purpose of luxury for the kinds of politicians that we have. Okay? So, I mean, you and I could get into the Senate. We could drive, SUVs of 200 and something million. And then if anybody from the masses gets to enjoy it, possibly it will be the mistresses and the tiny PAs who basically act as pimps here and there. But
Okay.
to be very honest with you, yes, the removal of subsidy, and the truth of the matter is that when you set a policy, especially that which bites the masses, if it fails to yield any positive result over a period of 8 to 12 months, then it's a failure. That
All right,
basically is it.
Thank you very much, Ahmed. Thank you very much, Zariyi Yusuf, pardon me. Thank you very much, Zariyi Yusuf. Thank you for joining us on the program. And Ahmed, thank you so much for joining us. Sadly, we're out of time. I know you still have a lot to say. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Robin Mind continues after this break. Please stay with us.